Title: My husband forgave me for cheating. Now he brings strange men into our basement. Hi. I don't really know where else to post this. I guess I just need to put it somewhere before I completely lose my mind. A few months ago, I cheated on my husband. I never thought I would. I never planned it. It wasn't some long-term affair or a love story. It happened because something terrible was done to me. I was too ashamed to say anything, too afraid to explain. And by the time I finally tried, it was already too late. I told him I'd slept with someone. That part was true. What I didn't say, not at first, was that I didn't choose it. It was forced. But after hearing the word cheated, he just shut down. He didn't want to hear anything else. Not excuses, not explanations, nothing. He told me he forgave me. We had a 6-year-old daughter. He said he'd stay, for her. But something changed in him that day. Something deep, something dark. He started watching me more, checking where I went, who I talked to, how long I took to get home. But he wasn't aggressive about it. He was quiet, cold, like he was mentally filing everything away for later. At first, I kept lying. I told him I was going to the store when I was really just driving around, trying to breathe. I told him I had work calls when I was just sitting in silence. I lied because the truth was too complicated, and I was too scared of what I'd see in his face if I said it all out loud. Then, one night, he brought a man home, a stranger, middle-aged, friendly, said he was a coworker. They had tea in the kitchen, talked for maybe half an hour. Then my husband led him downstairs into our basement. That door had always been locked. We didn't even keep anything down there. He came back upstairs alone. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to know. I couldn't. A week later, it happened again. A different man. Same routine, tea, small talk, then the basement. Always just one at a time. Always after dark. I told myself it was harmless. Maybe he was storing tools or something. But the air in the house changed. He changed. I started sending our daughter to stay with my parents just for the weekend, over and over again. I didn't know what I was protecting her from, only that I felt I had to. One night, I woke up and found my husband sitting at the basement door, just sitting on the floor, whispering to himself. He was saying something like, "They're not the one, but I'll find him. I'll find the right one." I don't know who he's looking for. I don't know what he thinks he's doing, but I know he's not the man I married anymore, and I think he's doing something terrible down there. I just don't know how much longer I can pretend I don't see it. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I go into the basement? I did, once. It was a few days after the second man came over. My husband was at the store, or so he said. I had about 20 minutes. I found the key in the drawer where he keeps receipts and paper clips. I stood there for almost 5 minutes, just staring at the basement door. The whole house was silent, like it was holding its breath. The stairs were steep, and the light didn't reach the bottom. It smelled like metal and something old. There was a humming noise, a low, soft hum, like from a freezer or a generator. The basement wasn't empty. There were folding chairs, 3 of them, facing a wall, a small table with a notebook on it, and a cheap surveillance camera mounted on the corner, pointing at the chairs. There was no blood, no signs of violence, but it felt wrong. I opened the notebook. Names. Just names and dates. First names only. Some had little check marks, others had lines through them. The last entry had today's date. I closed it and left, fast. When he came home later that night, he looked calmer than usual. He kissed my cheek and made dinner. He even asked how work was. I didn't say anything about the basement. But then, around midnight, I woke up and found my phone gone. He returned it an hour later, smiling like nothing happened. Said it fell off the nightstand. It was locked when I went to sleep, unlocked when I got it back. The next morning, a man came to our front door, young, maybe early 30s, nervous, said he was looking for the listing. I told him he had the wrong house. But then I heard my husband's voice behind me. No, he's in the right place. He stepped around me and invited the man inside. They talked in the living room, then the basement door opened and closed. An hour later, the man left, alone this time. He didn't look at me, just walked out like he didn't even remember why he came. That night, I finally told my husband the full truth, everything, about what really happened to me, how I never wanted to cheat, how I'd been assaulted, how I was terrified to admit it. He sat there staring at the floor. Then he said, "If that's true, then I need to find him, the one who did it." I froze.
No, I said. I don't even know who he was. It was dark. He left something behind, my husband whispered. I just have to keep looking. I didn't know what he meant. I still don't. But that notebook, those names, I think they're people he suspects, and I think he's testing them. I haven't called the police. I haven't told anyone, because I'm starting to realize something terrifying. He's not just looking for the man who hurt me. He's waiting for me to admit that he already found him. It's getting harder to breathe in this house. I barely sleep anymore. I keep one eye open every night, watching the silhouette next to me, wondering what he's thinking, wondering what I'm supposed to do. I keep asking myself, if I had just told the truth from the beginning, would any of this be happening? Last night, Emma asked me something that shattered me. Why does Daddy only smile when strange people come over? I didn't know what to say. He's never cruel to her, never raises his voice. He's calm, almost robotic when she's around. But she sees things. Kids always do. She asked me why the man who came last week cried when he left. I didn't even know he had cried. I didn't even know he had left, and that terrified me. Later that night, when my husband was in the shower, I went back to the basement. I didn't find the notebook this time. It was gone. But the chairs were still there, the table, the camera. Except now, there were objects lined up in front of each chair, personal items, a watch, a phone case, a crumpled photo, and a little note under each one. Words I didn't understand, symbols, drawings, and numbers, like some kind of code. I heard the floor creak upstairs and ran back up before he saw me. He never asked where I'd been, just handed me a cup of tea and said, "You're thinking too much again." This morning, I tried calling someone, an old friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years, just to talk, just to feel human again. She never picked up. An hour later, my husband handed me my phone. I hadn't told him I made a call, but he said, "Don't worry, I blocked her for you. She doesn't deserve to be in your life." I'm losing my mind. I know it. I feel like a puppet walking around a house made of glass. But the worst part? I'm starting to think he's not just doing this because of me. I found something in his jacket pocket today, a list. But this time, the names were all women. No dates, no check marks, just my name at the top, underlined 3 times. I think I've made a mistake far bigger than cheating. I think I gave a broken man a reason to snap. And now he's building something, a system, a ritual, and I'm not sure I'm on the outside of it anymore. I think I'm part of it. I don't know who my husband is anymore. I used to think I did. I thought I knew the man who held my hand in the delivery room, who built a playhouse for our daughter in the backyard with chipped wood and duct tape. I thought I knew his laugh, his fears, his silence. But now, I can't even look him in the eyes without wondering what's behind them. This morning, I woke up to find him sitting in our daughter's room, just sitting there in the corner while she slept. He was staring at her like he was studying something, like he was waiting for her to move. When he noticed me in the doorway, he smiled, soft, slow, unnatural, and whispered, "She's untouched by lies. That's why she's safe." I didn't reply. I couldn't. My throat felt like it was made of stone. Later that day, I checked the garage. There's a second phone in there, hidden behind old paint cans. It has no contacts, no photos, just a messaging app. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. There were dozens of messages, all sent from him, all to different usernames, some real names, some random characters, all of them written in the same cold, calculated tone. "You'll be tested. Do not resist. She will be present. She won't interfere. Don't speak to the child." Some of them replied, things like, "I changed my mind. I'm scared. What is this? Please stop messaging me." One person wrote, "You said this was therapy. You said you could help me find peace." That message was never answered. There were hundreds of deleted messages too, and voice memos I didn't dare open. That night, I told him I wanted to take Emma to visit my sister, just for a few days. He said no. He said, "There are things happening here you need to witness."
When I pressed him, asked what that meant, he just looked up and said, "The truth isn't a story, it's a process." I'm terrified. I think he's pulling strangers into something he truly believes is helping them. Or maybe punishing them, maybe both. And I think he sees me, as the center of all of it. Whatever guilt he's projecting, whatever madness is spiraling out of him, I'm the symbol now. I'm the reason. And if I don't find a way out soon, he's going to do something that can't be undone. It started with the sound, a soft clicking like fingernails tapping against wood, echoing through the vent above our bed. It was 3:12 a.m. I remember the time because I couldn't stop staring at the clock, paralyzed. My husband was lying beside me, completely still, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling like he was listening too. I whispered, "What is that?" He didn't answer, just slowly reached over and placed his hand on my stomach, holding me in place. The sound went on for another minute. Click, click, click. Then, silence. When I got up the next morning, the vent was shut, sealed from the inside. That same day, Emma refused to come out of her room. She said the man in the wall told her not to. I tried to stay calm, but her voice was shaking. She said she heard whispering through the night, not voices, whispering, not words, just breath and rhythm. I asked my husband about it. He said, "It's her imagination, or maybe it's working through her now." That sentence has been on repeat in my mind all day. What is working through her? That night, I made my decision. I waited until he left the house. He said he had an errand to run and took Emma with me. I told her we were going to the park. Instead, I drove straight to a motel 30 minutes away. No clothes, no toys, no plan, just fear. I thought we were safe until I turned on the motel TV. It was already on, paused, on our home security footage. Me, Emma, leaving the house. He had logged into the system and left it waiting. That's when I noticed something else. The camera showed a timestamp, the moment we left, but on the edge of the screen, just barely in frame, there was someone standing in the hallway, someone who wasn't supposed to be there. Not my husband, not me, not Emma. They were standing completely still, facing the basement door, just watching it. I turned off the TV, locked the motel door, sat on the bed, and shook until sunrise. I called my sister in another state, begged her to come get us. She's driving up tomorrow. I don't know if we'll make it that far, because tonight, when I opened my motel door to get some air, there was a folded piece of paper on the floor. It said, "You're not the only one who lied." And underneath that, in my husband's handwriting, "The process continues, and you're still part of it." I'm writing this from a stranger's kitchen. I don't know their name. I just know their Wi-Fi is unlocked and the house was empty when we got here. Emma's sleeping on the couch, wrapped in a blanket that isn't ours. I know this isn't safe, but nowhere is. Let me explain what happened. After I found that note at the motel, the one with his handwriting, I packed everything I could in under 10 minutes. I didn't care if I left my phone behind. I didn't care if the car was low on gas. I just needed to move. We drove for hours. I didn't even know which direction. Emma asked me what was happening. I lied. Again. Told her we were on a surprise vacation. She didn't believe me. She hasn't believed me in weeks. When she fell asleep in the back seat, I broke down, screamed into the steering wheel until I nearly passed out. And then, my phone, the spare one I kept hidden in the glove box, lit up. Unknown number. No text, just a live video stream. I almost didn't look, but I did. It was the basement. He was down there, my husband, sitting in one of the chairs facing the camera. Behind him stood a man I'd never seen before, thin, twitching, visibly shaking. And behind him, someone else, someone tall, still, face blurred by the flickering light. My husband didn't say anything. He just stared into the camera and held up a photo of me, not just me from the motel. Then the screen went black. That's when I realized this isn't just obsession. It's not just guilt or punishment or madness. It's control. He's not trying to find the one who hurt me. That was a lie. He's building something, a belief system, a process, a ritual, and I am the centerpiece. I called the police, told them everything. Well, not everything, but enough. I gave them our address, my name, said I suspected my husband was dangerous. They said someone would follow up. No one has, not yet. A few hours ago, I pulled over near this abandoned house just to rest. It looked safe enough. That's when I heard Emma whispering in the back seat. I turned around. She wasn't asleep anymore. She was staring out the window. I asked who she was talking to. She said, "The man from the basement. He says we can't run forever." I swear I felt my heart stop. I looked out the window. Nothing. Just trees. Empty road. I pulled her into the house, locked every door. I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know if I'm losing my mind or if he already broke it for me. But I do know one thing now. He never forgave me. He just rewrote the story in his own head. And I think the ending he wants involves all three of us. I got a message tonight, not from my husband, from someone else. It was a woman. She said she found my number inside a secondhand phone she bought online, a phone that used to belong to him. The message simply read, "If you're still alive, you're not the only one." I nearly dropped the phone. I asked who she was. She said her name was Danny, and she had been involved with him before I ever met him, years ago. But the story she told me made my blood run cold. She said when they dated, he was quiet, calm, gentle, until he wasn't. She'd wake up in the middle of the night to find him standing in the doorway, just watching her. Once, he asked her, "If something awful happened to you, would you even tell me?" She thought he was being protective, introspective. Now she knows better. She told me he started bringing people around, not friends, not coworkers, just people, strangers. Some stayed for hours, others she never saw leave. Eventually, she left, vanished, changed her number, moved states. But she still thinks she was being watched for years after. She says she kept finding small folded notes in her mailbox with one word, liar. I asked her if she ever reported him. She said she tried. No one believed her. There was no evidence, and he had a way of making her doubt herself, just like he did with me. After the call, I felt dizzy, sick, because it confirmed something I'd feared all along. This didn't start with me. The process, the obsession, the testing, it was always there. I wasn't the cause. I was just the perfect excuse. And now I think I understand what the basement is. It's not a place for punishment. It's a place for confession. My husband doesn't want justice. He wants to see people admit things, say things, break. He believes that the moment someone tells their ugliest truth, they become clean. But if they lie, if they resist, they disappear. I think he forces them to talk. I think he films it. And I think the people who don't pass his test are never seen again. I still don't know what he's done with them. But now I'm terrified of what he plans to do with me. Because I lied too. I told him I didn't recognize the man who hurt me. But I did. And the truth? It wasn't a stranger. I lied. Not just to him, to all of you. Because the truth was too hard to type, too disgusting to remember. I said I didn't know the man who assaulted me, but I did. It was someone my husband knew, someone we both knew. His name was Marcus, a friend from my husband's old job. The kind of man who's always too friendly, always too close, always finds a way to be near you, to touch your arm when he laughs, to linger in the kitchen long after everyone else has left the room. I never said anything. I thought I could handle it, smile, nod, brush it off. But one night, my husband had gone to bed early. I was in the kitchen alone. Marcus stayed. And everything went wrong. I froze. I blamed myself. I convinced myself it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I knew what it was. And I kept it secret. Because I didn't want to ruin everything. Because I didn't think anyone would believe me. Not even my own husband. And then the text started.
Marcus messaging me from unknown numbers, asking if I was going to talk, saying, "You didn't say no. Don't make this a thing. You wanted it." I should have shown my husband. I should have told someone, anyone. But I deleted them, every single one, and I buried the truth until I found out I was pregnant. And for a few days, I didn't know whose it was. That was the moment I broke. Not out loud, not visibly, but inside. Something inside me shattered. I had a panic attack in the bathroom and stayed on the floor for 3 hours. When I finally tested, when I found out I wasn't pregnant, I felt relief, but also shame, because that was the only thing that made me face what happened. So I told my husband I cheated. I figured it was better than saying I was assaulted by someone he trusted. I thought he'd leave me. I almost wanted him to. But he didn't. He stayed. He forgave me. He watched me. He started the process. And now I know why. Because Marcus is gone. He disappeared 2 weeks ago. No one at his job knows where he is. His car was found parked 3 blocks from our house. Empty. Locked. The police think he left town. Maybe ran from something. But I think I know where he is. I think he's still in the basement. Or was. I think that's the day my husband started smiling again. And I think he knew the truth long before I ever said it. Because now I'm the one being tested. And I'm not sure I'm passing. Emma spoke to me last night. Not in the way little girls speak. Not in the way children should ever speak. We were hiding again. In another borrowed house. Another strange bed.
I hadn't slept in days. I was dozing off on the floor next to her when she leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Daddy says you're almost ready." I sat bolt upright. "What did you say?" I asked, barely able to form the words. She blinked, as if confused, then said, "He talks to me when you're dreaming. He says I'm the safest one. He says you're still lying." I asked her what he meant, what else he told her. She looked down at her hands and mumbled, "He says I'm not supposed to tell you what comes after the chairs." I didn't know what that meant at first, not until she said the next part. He said there used to be only 3 chairs, but now there are 4. My blood ran cold. Emma's never been in that basement. She couldn't have seen that, unless someone showed her, unless he showed her, unless she's been helping him. I want to say she's just a child, that he manipulated her, brainwashed her, or made her repeat things she didn't understand. But the look on her face, it wasn't fear. It was peace, like she believed in whatever it was he was building, like she trusted it. And when I asked if she wanted to leave with me, she said, "No. Daddy said if you stay, he won't need the 4th chair anymore." I didn't respond. I just walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and screamed into a towel, because it finally hit me, all at once. This wasn't about finding Marcus. This was never about revenge. It was about me, about what I buried, about what I couldn't say, about the silence I fed for so long it became a part of me. And now, he's made it a ritual. He brings them in, he watches them, he breaks them. And when that's not enough, he makes space for me, the 4th chair. He thinks I can still be cleansed. He thinks this whole thing, the running, the guilt, the paranoia, is part of the process. And worst of all, he's not alone in it anymore, because now my daughter believes in it too. I'm writing this with shaking hands.
Because the chair is gone. Not one of the basement chairs, my chair. The metaphorical one I've been strapped to since the day I confessed. The guilt, the silence, the punishment, the process. It's over, but not the way I thought it would be. Let me explain. After what Emma said about the 4th chair, I planned to run one final time. I packed only what I needed. I told her we were going to see Grandma. She smiled and said, "He already knows." We didn't make it to the car. He was waiting in the driveway. No anger, no panic, just patience. He opened the back door, motioned for Emma to get out, then looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. I expected rage, or maybe sorrow. Instead, he said, "It's time." I don't remember the drive.
I only remember the basement door. When we walked in, I realized two things at once. The fourth chair was gone, and Emma was already down there. She was standing in the center of the room, hands folded, calm, like it was all rehearsed. My husband turned to me and said, "She's never lied to me, not once. You should listen to her." And then he left. He closed the basement door behind him, and we were alone, just me and my daughter. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She just sat in one of the chairs and said, "He said the pain gets smaller when you stop lying." I asked her if she knew what he was doing to those men. She said yes. I asked if she thought it was right. She said, "Only when they deserve it." And that's when I understood the truth. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about healing. It was about control. He couldn't stop what happened to me, so he created a world where nothing ever goes unanswered again, where everyone confesses, where every truth comes out, no matter the cost. And my daughter? She grew up in that world. That was the final horror. Not the basement, not the notebook, not the men who vanished.
The story may be over, but the conversation is just getting started. Drop a comment below. We read every single one. Leave a like if this story hit you deep. Subscribe so you don't miss more real-life drama and powerful confessions. Share this video with someone who needs to know they're not alone. This is Fam Stories, where we say what others stay silent about. See you in the next story.